Happy Sunday, all you minties. This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And today, join me for an overview of the Legion of Superheroes 5 Years Later Omnibus Volume 2 from DC Comics. Let's get started. And welcome back, everybody. So here we have Legion of Superheroes 5 Years Later, Omnibus Volume 2. You have the Legioneers here, who I'm going to be mainly talking about. But let's look at it a little bit closer. You have the DC logo here, Legion of Superheroes 5 Years Later. Believe it or not, that's Omnibus Volume 2 there. The creators up here, Mary and Tom Bierbaum, Tom McGraw, Stuart Eminem, Chris Sprouse, and Mark Waid is actually in some of the book. And he was also editor at the time. Surprised he's not in the title up there on the top. But here we have Legion of Superheroes, this big logo, 5 Years Later, Volume 2, DC logo down there. And then the countdown to 0 hour begins. Wow. Way to advertise 0 hour all the way from the beginning of this. Because 0 hour doesn't take place until like the last 6 issues. Which we are going to be talking about. So, before we do, though, I do want to put it right next to Volume 1. So, again, Volume 1 has the same designs. I love that. It's consistent. But more importantly, it's the consistency of the spines. Because this is what you're going to be looking at. I assume most of us put our books on the shelves like this. But yeah, I love that big logo. I know some people in my last video hated how huge it is. For me, it works. I like it. It stands out. I like when spines stand out. It makes me focus more on the book and wonder, wait, what the hell is that on my shelf? So yes, I dig that. I like the odd looking numbers there. Futuristic, I guess, if you will. And then the back of the books. ISBN here on the lower left. And even the, which I never really talk about, but the flaps themselves are very similar. You have Legionnaires roll call there, and then on this side you have the other Legionnaires, and here you have the Legion roll call. So it's very, very similar, both of these books together. I like that. And I assume that this is going to be the last volume of the 5 Years Later. There is material that follows this, but everything gets rebooted, if you will, at the end of this with 0 hour. But let's look at this a little bit closer. I'll be taking it off the dust jacket. Very similar to what Volume 1 looked like. With the exception, of course, being Volume 2 and Volume 2. Pretty basic design, but I dig it. Alright, now we're going to crack this open, but before I start talking about the stories in here, I am going to warn people about a bit of a spoiler, because I have to mention it. That happened in Volume 1, but it plays a huge part in this volume. So much so that there's a spin-off series because of the big spoiler that happens in Volume 1. So if you don't want to know anything, maybe put it on mute. You can still look at the pages and the artwork that way. Or if you've read the stuff, I guess it doesn't matter. You don't have to mute me. But anyway, just in case, before jumping in here, I'm going to talk about a spoiler that happens in, I think it was issue 24 of Volume 1. Alright, let's get started. Alright, let's get this open. We have some black end paper there. Legion of Superheroes 5 Years Later, Omnibus Volume 2. This is really interesting. So again, Omnibus Volume 2, and then it tells you who the collection cover artists are. Superman creators, Superboy creators, and then a special arrangement with the Jerry Siegel family. Really interesting because there are no creator credits in the front, like I would expect the writers and the artists to be there. I'm so used to that with every omnibus. But instead we jump right into the table of contents, which shows you the issues, what page you're going to be on, the dates that they came out, because you have 2 series, well, 4 series really, but 2 series are mainly focused here. And also the cover artist. So I like that. I like that the fact that they're giving them the artist on the covers credit, Stuart Eminem being the mostly on the Legion of Superheroes. So this does contain Legion of Superheroes issues number 40 to 61. It also contains the annuals 4 and 5. It contains Legion That's the Legion series. I'm spelling it. Why the hell am I spelling it? Sorry. L.E.G.I.O.N. This is a series that started in 1989 when it was just known as Legion 89, and by now it's Legion 94. But it contains issues 69 through 70, and then the Legioneers, issues 1 through 18, as well as annual number 1 from that series, and Valor 20 through 23. So that's what I said, that there's 4 series in here, but really it focuses on Legion of Superheroes and Legionnaires. So I remember when I said that I was going to be talking about the spoiler that happened in the first one. Well, that's where this comes in. So pretty much in the first one, we see this dark part of the Legion of Superheroes. The Legion of Superheroes have changed quite a bit after the whole Magic Wars. Keith Giffen came in with Tom and Mary Bierbaum. They were assisted by Al Gordon to change the things in Legion of Superheroes. So they called the storyline that started in 1989 5 years later. So this is the post-crisis story. And 5 years later, after the Magic Wars, pretty much takes our characters into a dark path. They took a lot of chances with some of the things that they did. It's really interesting to see what they decided to do with some of the characters from the Legion of Superheroes. Because I think a lot of people think of the Legion of Superheroes, bright colors, each character having their own costume and their own identity. And in this particular future, of course, I'm showing the Legion that I'm about to talk about. It's dark, it's gritty, and hell, some of the stories are dark. And the characters don't even use code names. They go by just their regular names. It's really interesting the dark turn that they took. And this era lasted from 1989 to 1993, and then Zero Hour happened. And it was rebooted once again with a brand new origin. And that's when I tried to get in the Legion, but I was just so damn confused. And I can kind of see that too. And the editors were confused with this particular story, so that's why they decided to do the whole 0 Hour, which we'll get to in a little bit. But the important thing was, yes, these characters had aged. Some of them had started relationships that we didn't see happening in the original Legion, if you had been keeping up with that. Some of the characters died. Some of the characters went crazy, and it was just a dark future. So what they decided to do, what Keith Giffen decided to do with the writers, was to bring back the classic Legion. Now, I'm not going to say how, but it all happened during the Terra Mosaic arc in the original 5 years later Omnibus. So we find out that the original Legion, I'm talking characters that have been dead for a long time, like Pharaoh Lad, the original Cosmic Boy, Ultra Boy, Saturn Girl, everybody was still kind of in a state of suspended animation in these chambers. Now, even through here, you don't really know who the real Legion of Superheroes are, who were the clones, or are they time displaced, or not time displaced, but dimension displaced characters, and it's kind of left open. And I kind of dug that. I was like, okay, we're not going to talk about it. We're just going to keep writing stories. So what they decided to do was give these characters that they found in, like I said, the 24th issue of Legion of Superheroes, their own comic, and that's called the Legioneers, which we'll get to in a little bit. And that does have characters, classic characters like Lightning Lad, but he changes his code name to Livewire, or new characters like Cat's Paw, Triad, was Computo. Anyway, those are like the colorful characters, and that's why I wanted to talk about it, because it's impossible to talk about the Legionnaires without having to talk about that story arc. I think they are known in the DC Comics universe as the SW6 Legion. And I think this is another thing that starts the confusion, because now we have these characters that are back. It's their younger, happier selves, obviously before Pharaoh Lad sacrificed his life. Before some of the characters lost their powers. And then we have, the adult versions of them, or some of them that are left. And with new characters added to Legion of Superheroes. And on top of that, we have another comic called Legion 94 during this time. And all three of these feature a Brainiac. So it's like you're reading pre-Crisis on Infinite Earths stories, right? I mean, I think if you're reading them monthly, if you've been following them, hell, it's not that bad. Like, reading Omnibus Volume 1 wasn't that much of a puzzle to figure out. I kind of like throwing being thrown in the middle of everything and not knowing all the secrets, not knowing what's going to happen. I had no idea we were going to find the original Legion. That was a real badass moment in Volume 1. And I think the writers tried to do their best explaining how this could even happen. And then towards the end, you could start seeing some of the retcons that were happening. Because I mentioned in my first Omnibus overview of Volume 1 that one of the things they did was get rid of the whole Superboy thing. Like, Superboy was no longer allowed to be tied up to the Legion, even though he is pretty much the basis of the formation. And therefore, Supergirl could also not be used. So they started using the character of Mon-El, now going as Valor. So there were some changes there. And then towards the end of this book, you start seeing some characters start remembering, like, wait a minute, I remember Superboy. And then other characters like, wait, why can't I? And then, of course, that all leads into the 0 Hour event. The artwork in Legion of Superheroes is all done by Stuart Eminem. And one of the things I was going to say is that Legionnaires spins out of issue number 41 from Legion of Superheroes. But the way that this is mapped is they continue writing or collecting the stories of Legion of Superheroes, introducing this new brand characters here, like, this is, what is his name? Fire Fist, this is Veil Mist, Bloodclaw, and then Flutterweb. So these are like new characters that join the Legion of Superheroes, the adult Legion of Superheroes. But you don't get the collection of Legionnaires, number 1 through, I think, 8 is the way they mapped it here, until much later. So it doesn't break the stories up. So by the time you're done with this big story arc, you can jump right into the Legionnaires, issue number 1. This one here. So now you can tell the tone is different. The characters are younger, they have their costumes back, and like I said, characters have changed their name. Like, Lightning Lad is now going as Livewire. I think Phantom Girl is going as Apparition. That's actually a pretty cool name. So there were changes. And this is a lot more lighthearted than the stories that were being told in the dark and gritty Legion of Superheroes. But again, I think that led to some confusion because people were at the Return of the Fatal Five there. People were like, wait a minute, so who's the real Legion of Superheroes? And even to the days of, like, the Flashpoint Legion of Three Worlds. I mean, people were still genuinely confused because I think editors were confused as to what was the real canon and what wasn't. But reading it in omnibus format, not that bad. Honestly, I mean, I've read things that have given me a headache, literal headache. This isn't that hard to follow. Okay, we found some younger versions of ourselves. Cool, they're spinning off into their own comic. Awesome. Their stories are a little more lighthearted than ours. Our characters are getting killed off. We have new characters coming and joining the older versions of us. Awesome. Seriously, it's not that bad. I think sometimes rumors on the internet, or you hear one person's opinion and it just blows up. I mean, and it's not just the internet. I'm sorry. Even like when I worked at a comic book store, I would hear people gripe about the Legion of Superheroes. Oh, I wish I could try to get into that, but I can't. Such a convoluted mess. But if you give it a try, honestly, it kind of makes sense. I'm okay with different versions of the Legion. I'm okay with retconning Superboy. Okay, so it was Valor that kind of put the team together. Cool. Oh, we're going to go back to the Superboy thing during 0 Hour? Awesome. It's just another dimension or another Earth's Legion of Superheroes. Not that hard to follow, despite of what people tell you. It definitely has its ups and downs. Absolutely. Just like Volume 1, it's dark and gritty, and it stays dark and gritty. There are character deaths that bothered me in the first volume. And I wasn't even that attached to the characters, but I kind of thought they were going to get together with another character, and then when they killed him off, I was like, oh, dude, that's cold. But that was also Keith Giffen. Story arcs in here are changing. And like I said, for the main part, Legion of Superheroes is drawn by Stuart Eminem. Legionnaires is drawn by Chris Sprouse and Adam Hughes. Adam Hughes draws a lot of internal artwork in here. It's really nice to look at. This is also the time when Stuart Eminem had this type of style, so if you're familiar with it during his Superman run, or a Final Night, this is the type of style that he had. But I'm going to skip a little bit through here and talk about, this sort of ending here that starts off in the pages of Valor, which at the time was being written by Kurt Busiek and drawn by Colleen Doran. So this is called the end of an era. This is where Legion of Superheroes and Legionnaires kind of end this particular 5 years later story arc, wrapping up some loose ends and starting to retcon some of the past so they can lead it into 0 Hour. And then I think, and please correct me if I'm wrong, there are collections past this that I think are just called Legionnaires, Book 1, Book 2. I don't know if there's a third book. Because I remember almost picking them up, but I didn't because there wasn't a third book. So is there enough material for a Volume 3? Yes, but that would be another era. That would be the post-0 Hour era. So it really wouldn't be 5 years later. So it wouldn't be a Volume 3. It would just be called the Mark Waid era. Or I think Tom Payer eventually... No, Tom Payer was writing the Legion book here, the Legion 94, which also got canceled and also featured another Legion set of characters. So, yeah, I guess if I was an editor and I had 3 Legion books and they're all different characters from different dimensions and times, then maybe I would want some kind of structure. So let's restructure, let's take this big event and bring it back and retell some origin stories. But that's another story because that all happens post-Crisis. There are some returning villains in here and some returning heroes through this end of an era story arc. But, yeah, let's not spoil that. Let's get to the extras here. So, back here we do have a little bit of the, I assume this is the Who's Who update, which is getting another Omnibus treatment. And here are the newer characters, the Legionnaires characters, with their new code names. So instead of Lightning Lad, you're going to have Livewire. And Matter Eater Lad, Saturn Girl. I will say that reading this, because I hadn't read any of this stuff before. And I had read 0 Hour, because none of it had been collected. That's part of the reason why I haven't read it. I had read 0 Hour, and I had read the post Legion of Superheroes. That's when I tried to get into it. But it wasn't until like Mark Waid's early Legion of Superhero runs that I got into it. Because even the reboot of the Legion of Superheroes got a little bit confusing. But what I was going to say is that it was interesting to see how the Time Trapper ties into this story. I kind of understood it a little bit more, the whole Zero aspect of things from that part of 0 Hour. And here, I didn't even know about these. These are trading cards. I used to have some. I had like Series 1, but this is from Skybox. This is the Cosmic Teams. I really like that Gossamer picture. And then there's the Master Series trading cards. Nelson de Castro doing these paintings. These are nice. This is the source book. That's interesting. And then, of course, the creators here. Tom McCraw, also writing some of the stories after Mary and Tom left the book. Mark Waid, Kurt Busiek, Tom Payer, Stuart Eminem, the artist here, Chris Sprouse, Adam Hughes, Colleen Doran, and Carl Story. The book is big. I mean, it's not as big as the first one. It's about 100 pages less. It's 1,328 pages, whereas the first one, I think, was 1,424. Let me look at the... Here's what your eye looks like. And honestly, that's not a big eye, but I didn't have a big issue with it. I've read this as soon as I got it. I stretched the spine and started reading it from cover to cover, and I didn't have an issue with the book at all, the way that it laid. Not too many spread pages towards the beginning anyway, nor towards the end. I don't want to get past this particular issue. But yeah, the book was an interesting read. It's definitely a confusing era for some. I can understand that, but give it a shot if you've ever been interested in this era. And this is the first time it's been collected, and it's crazy that we have not just one but 2 Omnis, and I hope they will reprint volume 1 sometime, because we just got this. But that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this book, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this omnibus. Let me know in the comments down below if you have picked it up. You picked up Volume 1. You're hoping they will reprint a Volume 1. What you thought about this interesting era of the Legion of Superheroes. What your favorite era of the Legion of Superheroes is, what got you to read Legion of Superheroes. As I mentioned in the video, for me it was Mark Waid's run. After a few years of trying to get into the characters, it was Mark Waid's run in the early aughts that really got me into them. So, leave those comments, questions down below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. Everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.